Good morning. Welcome to Real Talks, Dominate Real Estate. It's January 27th, 2021, and I'm Charlie Bengel.
And I'm Eyerusalem Meaza. Grab a cup of coffee and let's make your real estate career better.
What's in the news this morning, Eyerusalem?
1 in 4 homeowners have lived in their home for more than 20 years, the highest level that owners with that tenure has ever reached. A new Redfin study shows that's due in large part to the aging in place trend, which is accelerating during the COVID-19 pandemic. As Americans stay in their homes longer, housing shortages are growing. The typical homeowner in 2020 had lived in their home for 13 years, a big jump from 8.7 years a decade earlier, according to the Redfin study. Longer homeownership tenure has contributed to a logjam in housing inventory, which dropped 23% year over year in December to an all-time low, a 1.9-month supply at the current sales pace, according to the National Association of Realtors. It will take vigorous new home construction in 2021 and in 2022 to adequately furnish the market to properly meet the demand, NAR chief economist Lawrence Yun said in a statement last week. The COVID-19 pandemic is likely sidelining many potential home sellers who don't want to risk infection by allowing strangers inside for tours. Potential sellers also may be concerned about their ability to find a new home. Tight inventory is pressing on home prices. The median existing home price in December was $309,800, up nearly 13% compared to a year earlier, according to NAR. In related news, home builders started on more homes at the end of the year, up by double-digit margins and the highest construction numbers since September 2006. But rising lumber prices and increasing regulatory costs pose risks to future production, the National Association of Home Builders notes. Overall housing starts reflecting single-family and multifamily construction rose 5.8% in December 2020 to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 1.67 million units. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and U.S. Census Bureau reported Thursday. Broken out single-family starts rose 12% to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 1.34 million units. The multifamily sector, which includes apartment buildings and condos, fell 13.6% to a pace of 331,000 units. Single-family housing starts for all of 2020 totaled 991,000, up 11.7% compared to the previous year. According to Lawrence Yun, chief economist of the National Association of Realtors, the worst of the housing shortage could soon come to an end. More inventory is clearly needed to lessen the heat of multiple offers and the consequent frustration of multiple losing bids. For the past 13 years, home builders have been underproducing homes at rates below historic norms. Therefore, it will take robust home construction this year and next at a minimum to fully supply the market to properly meet the demand. And more construction also means more local job creation. The housing sector looks to lead the economy in recovery in 2021, Yun says. Last but not least, the housing market. After a record-setting year of home sales in 2020, the housing market still shows no signs of cooling off. The U.S. housing gained about $2.5 trillion in value in 2020, the most in a single year since 2005, according to a new Zillow analysis. The full stock of U.S. housing is now worth $36.2 trillion. Strong demand drove intense competition among buyers, causing homes to fly off the market at the fastest pace Zillow has recorded and pushing prices higher. Housing demand was already strong coming into the year, with a large millennial generation aging into prime first-time home buying age and mortgage rates hovering near record lows. The widespread shift to remote work during the COVID-19 pandemic prompted many buyers to reevaluate their housing options and supercharged demand. With many potential buyers facing unprecedented economic hardship because of the pandemic, others with stable income were eager to enter the housing market. Zillow expects 2021 to be even stronger, possibly exceeding last year's $2.5 trillion gain. Builder confidence, perhaps in reaction to the boosted demand, hit record highs, and more homes are being built as a result, according to Zillow economist Trey Manhertz. According to the CoreLogic Builder-Seller Market Indicator, which measures the ratio between sold price and list price, buyer competition reached a new peak nationally in October in November when the ratio climbed to 0.996, the highest level since 2008 when the data series began. The high indicators suggest sellers were generally getting their asking price, with buyer demand continuing to outpace the previous year's levels amid historically lowest inventory of for-sale homes. The pressure on home prices is expected to fuel home price growth in the first half of 2021. Charlie, what's going on with rates?
Thanks, Eyerusalem. Rates remain low with the 30-year fixed rate at 2.875, the jumbo at 2.625, FHA and VA rates are at 2.5%. These are purchase rates based on the Washington metropolitan market, brought to us by PNC Mortgage. Back over to you to discuss the market.
In the last week in Hampton Roads, we saw 710 new listings hit the market, 695 properties go pending, and 634 properties sold. In the last week in the Washington metro area, within 30 miles of the White House, we saw 921 new listings hit the market, 1,545 go pending, and 889 homes sold. Back over to Charlie with our special guest.
Thanks again, Eyerusalem. I'd like to welcome back to the show Coach Amy Lassen. Amy, always good to see you.
Good to see you, Charlie. Good morning.
Good morning. What do you have for us today?
Well, we're talking about slow down to speed up. It's what are the systems that you need to run your business? And I prefer to say slow down to speed up because I think that's really what it's going to feel like. You and I see a lot of agents wing it, right? Mm-hmm. We take what shows up, we respond, right? We're in reaction mode. And I think anyone who has done, self-growth work or self-help stuff knows, don't be reactive, be proactive. So we've heard this before, but it's still a really big challenge. And I think being proactive in an age of such massive technology innovation feels next to impossible. And I think we sort of blame ourselves. What's wrong with me that I'm so disorganized? I'm just not that person. That just doesn't work. That's for organized people. That's just not me. And the truth is, most of us have this problem. Like you're an analytical mind. Organization should come naturally to you, but I'll bet you'd tell me you suffer overwhelmed just like the rest of us. Too many options, too many things, too many new technologies. It's not like it just works for you, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, I still fight with myself when I should be putting notes and tasks into Asana. I write them on a piece of paper.
Yeah. Right.
Normally they go in a book that I can review,
yeah.
But if I'm really careless, they go on a scrap piece of paper, right? And then it gets lost. So you didn't call that person back. And, even though you have the system in my mind of, I should be using Google Calendar and the tasks there, or Asana, write the tasks there. So even the analyticals are certainly imperfect when it comes to organization.
Right. And I guess I disagree that there is a perfect. I just want to give everyone, you just have my permission to give yourself a break because we live in an age with too many options and too many details. And that's just true. So
yeah, for sure.
You're not broken. It's the malady of our age. So then I think it's important to face the fact that if you would slow down to speed up, and by that we mean put some systems in place so that you're not having to do each transaction as though it were the first time, right? I think you and I both said, what are the things that need a system? Anything that you're going to do more than once.
Yep.
If you're going to do it over and over and over, then create a system for it. There's just no reason to do it from scratch. Do you have favorite systems that you think, because I thought about the list of systems, right?
Yeah.
And of course, and you've seen my list. It's intimidatingly long, but that's just because you could systematize most things.
Yes.
Let's talk about what are the basics. What would be the have-tos in your opinion?
Specific parts of my business that I need to systematize or have even a checklist for? Is that where you're going with that question?
I guess what I mean is for the agent who's listening, if I showed the actual list, their eyes would cross. So let's talk about the 2, the 5, the 10. What are the have-to systems for a real estate business to run efficiently, in your opinion?
Ooh, I think to run efficiently, I think that you need to have the checklist for your buyers and for your sellers, because as you get busy trying to run your business Up here, you screw up, right?
Sure.
You forget to order the termite, and the title company's like, "Where's the termite?" And closing is tomorrow, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot to order the termite."
Yeah.
Where if that were in, whatever system we're using, and the system could be a paper checklist, right? I mean, we've said that before. Start somewhere. I just think that that's a win. So as we get into spring, people are going to get busier. Just a daily checklist of to-dos.
Sure.
For running a business, making sure you're doing your hour of power, stuff like that. So those are two very different answers, right? From a daily checklist to a checklist of how to run buyers or how to run sellers.
Right.
And I know, every time you ask a question, you already have an answer. So I'm curious to know it.
Plenty of times,
kind of what your thoughts are.
Plenty of times not, because this is so subjective, right? I think you're right. I think that I was thinking to start with like being good with your CRM, and I disagree with myself. I think you're right. I think plenty of agents are not good with their CRM.
Yeah.
How to log in. They wing that part of their business, even though it doesn't help them that they do. But having a buyer process checklist and a listing process checklist is vital, because with or without other organization, we somehow manage to stumble into having clients. So I think
and a lot of us still wing it, and I'm very pleased that we're offering these, this new Get It Done in 21 series that Eyerusalem's doing at RE/MAX Allegiance, and it comes with buyer and seller checklists.
Yes.
That class has gotten rave reviews, and I think we've only done it once.
Great.
So yeah, she's nodding her head and smiling. So
buyer and seller process, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's more to it. Like, we could go deep on that, but your buyer and seller processes need to be spelled out so that you're not having to think, oh my gosh, I've got an opportunity to take a listing. Wait, what should I do? Don't have that panic feeling. I think the challenge for most of us is I don't want to slow down and create it. I have a client this week. Actually, last 2 weeks, she has been a coaching client. She has been so focused on putting her systems in place, and she finally admitted to me that it really doesn't feel good. Like, because she was being so dutiful, I wasn't noticing the resistance because she was keeping her mouth shut about how much it bothered her. She said, I'm waiting for the green light that I can go back to work. And I hadn't told her to stop working. But I think it felt like molasses. Like, she just felt so slowed down to be cleaning up her marketing, to be cleaning up the communication with her assistant, to be editing her sphere of influence touch plan, and then massaging the database. And by that, I mean, open up your CRM, fix the tags, see who's missing. Like, this is that like grout work, like, you're scrubbing your floor. Does that feel dollar productive? We're all told, quit focusing on the silly stuff, dollar productive activities. But if you don't do those things, when you think you're moving fast, right, that feels slow. But when you're running flat out, showing houses, writing offers, you're wasting time as you go by having to go, oops. Just
exactly.
Like, oops, I forgot. Oops, there's a problem. Yeah. So I think the balance for her would be, how much time can I spend in a day or in a week fixing the process and still feel like I have forward motion around? I'm still doing my lead gen, appointments. And the thing that I say to everybody, Charlie, lately, who's been saying, well, Amy, do I have permission to, or how can I focus on this? Also, I say, I don't know. How much time will it take? And I think we all need to start asking ourselves that, rather than place these value judgments on our activities without knowing how long we're committing to. So I think this is my hack of the year. How long will it take? In most cases, we say, well, I don't know. Okay, estimated amount of time you're willing to commit to it.
Right.
That's a start. So I think systems that every agent needs, listing and buyer process, just like you said. Some way of tracking your leads, some way of tracking your contacts, right? A piece of paper would probably be challenging. Spreadsheets can be great. CRM is the tool that was built for it. I think CRM is the tool we love to hate. I wonder, Charlie, I got my license in 2004. And back then, Top Producer was just the Mac Daddy. Like that. Yeah,
that was it, basically, right?
Cool. And we loved it. We hated it. Like, it wasn't great.
Right.
But it was the only one there was. Do you know what people used before that? I don't know.
I don't know either. It's been Top Producer since I got started.
Okay. So
I think a lot of people use probably paper,
Mm.
or they just winged it.
Or their memory, or
Yep.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's like they're driving down the road and they see a billboard for an attorney named Brian, and they're like, I haven't talked to this other Brian in forever. I ought to give him a call, right? It's just kind of business by luck.
Right, right. And the challenge is it just tends to it eats away at your time. I have a story about an agent who was very, very successful, very, very busy, worked really long hours, had a business partner that disagreed with growth with regard to hiring more people.
Okay.
Felt like he was a workaholic and he felt like the two of them could handle it. And she would complain to me about her workload. They were very successful. They did a lot of business, but she was exhausted all the time.
Yeah.
And this went on for years, and slowly systems did get put in place and they did hire more help. And it came to a point where they were finally really, really doing well. And she owned a ton of rental properties, had a lot of, she really was doing well financially. And she was so wanted to do something else. She had said so many times, I want to go back to college. I want to do a different job.
Yeah.
I want to spend more time with my kids. And so I finally said to her, sweetie, you've got it. You've got enough money that in your 40s, you could retire from real estate and do something else. And she said, why would I? She said, the thing practically runs itself now. She said, I have all kinds of free time. I do what I want. I suddenly love my job. And so in her situation, there was a little bit of friction between her and her partner that was the holdup. But for us, I think we have that within us.
Oh, absolutely.
Where there's her and him, we have that within us. That's the friction we have with ourselves. No, I'll just work harder. I'll just put in more hours. That's fine, right? But then the days drag into months and years, and the exhaustion continues. So other system for tracking your expenses. When you wait till taxes are due, then it's a huge time suck to try to gather all that together and get that to your accountant. And it is, right? Some of us, there's a great TED talk on procrastination, by the way.
Okay.
Some of us function best under pressure.
Yep.
It's the reason we would rather wait till we're about to miss the deadline and then pull an all-nighter than put a system in place. And and I don't remember who the guy is, some professor who did this TED talk on procrastination, he said that this panic monster snaps into gear when the deadline is near, and suddenly you've got much more focus than you did before. So focus is something that challenges all of us. So I think that when you commit to putting a system in place and you feel your mind wandering away and you would rather respond to the alarm, you'd rather respond to a deadline than be patient with yourself, then you just have to look at controlling your focus. It's funny. I feel like now we're going to talk about health, which may be way off topic, but maybe not. If you find that your brain is super, super squirrely, you might want to ask, am I well hydrated? Do I drink too much coffee? Could I have improved my circulation before I sat down to this task, right? So some of the things that can optimize your ability to focus shouldn't be overlooked. Charlie, I've had coaching clients where I just asked on the call, how much sugar do you eat? Like they were vibrating practically out of whoa. So I think we've got to give ourselves a fighting chance. And I don't know, Charlie, do you see this? I think the majority of my clients have a really hard time focusing, but I get assigned a lot of expressives. So do you see that too?
Well, sure. Yeah. It's often because what they need to be focused on is not necessarily what they enjoy doing.
Okay.
So like focusing on spending an hour a day getting our systems together, that's not fun for somebody that wants to be out talking to people, doing deals, right? They don't want to be tied to a desk.
Yeah.
Calling people that in their minds don't want to be bothered is not fun, right? So you got to have the mind shift change, the affirmation of, my clients need to hear from me today, right? My clients need my advice for their, housing needs today, or, whatever the affirmation is we're going to use. So, and then that leads to the squirrel, right? So I am working on a system, but oh God, my phone's ringing and it's a past client. Thank goodness. And now I don't need to work on this past system anymore, right? But then a month later, they're frustrated because they don't have enough Google or Zillow reviews. And it's like, well, where is that on your checklist?
Yeah.
It's either, well, I don't have a checklist, or it's not there, right? I often say, well, you need to add it to your checklist. And sometimes I cheat, and I know that they don't have a checklist when I say you need to add it to your checklist, right? Mm-hmm. And shame on me, perhaps.
Yeah.
But and I think just with technology nowadays, it's so easy to be distracted in general with the dings and the rings and the this and the that. And I think it was the Brian Moran's book. I'm trying to think of the name of that book, but he was saying that for every 1 minute of distraction, it takes 13 minutes to get back on task. So when you go and you check your email, every time it dings and it's the Pottery Barn sofa sale, I'm not even looking for a sofa, right? And it's like that could wait. But if you have all of your notifications turned on, it just leads to all these distractions. And then at the end of the day, you're like, whew, what a day. But then if you look back to like, really, what did you accomplish?
Yeah.
You put out some fires. You didn't really move your business forward, and you're just frustrated. And then those days turn into weeks and months and years, kind of like you said. So I think going through the pain of sitting down and creating these systems is going to allow you more freedom in the future.
Right. You've hit on something so extremely important, Charlie, I think, and that is the age that we live in. I was focusing on the technology that is there. But the technology has created, I think, an entitlement to do what I want, to do what makes me happy. And I remember I used to say to my kids when they were little, not everything is chocolate for breakfast. Like, just do it anyway. Like,
yeah,
it's not your favorite. Oh, okay. There's a line in the movie Elf, make work your favorite. How about work's your favorite? And I think that we have to say that to ourselves once in a while. I remember catching myself thinking, at the end of the day, would I rather go to the gym or drink wine? Like, that's the spoiled brat that we allow ourselves to be. It's like, if I committed to go to the gym, and that's my commitment for my lifetime for my health and vitality, then I go to the gym. I don't ask, would I rather have chocolate for breakfast?
Right.
So I think it's time for us to be maybe a little bit more of a healthy parent, have a healthy parent relationship with our inner child who says, I don't feel like it. I don't want to put a checklist in place. And so part of it is a mindset thing, because you made a really good point about how it's not what they like best. Not everything is what you like best. It's a job. It's not Disneyland. So I think, and the other thing is, maybe let's stop pitying ourselves. I don't want to make my calls. Like, you're not working in a coal mine. Come on. True. It's not that hard.
Exactly.
So I think it's time to have a more adult perspective on what we've committed to do. And when we feel the resistance in ourselves, be that helpful, ups-a-daisy, you've got this parent to our inner child, and just say, look at you doing hard things. Good for you. Look at you.
Yeah, and and we touched on this before, not to mention, holy crap, I have a high school education and I'm getting paid $200 an hour to sell houses. I think I can pick up the phone. I mean, seriously, right? I mean, the amount of opportunity that we have when there's people that earn far less, that have been just, they've spent their entire, young adult lives in school, right? Going to law school or medical school or, business school or whatever. So, I think perspective is important. And I've thought before, you see the housekeeper at the hotel and you're like, man, she works harder than I do.
Yeah.
She busts her butt all day for minimum wage, and then she goes home or goes to a second job.
Sure.
And, I'm complaining about, making difficult phone calls, right? Or working from a system or, whatever. But, I think that, it's kind of like the compound effect, right? Making these little changes over time leads to, big differences, right? Yes. Having fewer calories every day or walking an extra 3,000 steps a day, right? Over over weeks, months, and years, that makes a big difference. And spending a little bit of time on our business and creating these systems over time. You and I aren't saying you need to pause sales for February and just put systems in place. We're not saying that at all. We're just saying spend some time creating some systems and make some progress every day.
Yes.
Because it's going to benefit you from wanting to rip your hair out when you are busy, to be able to rely on that checklist. Or, when you want to hire that assistant, you have a system. And it's not like, well, I need to hire an assistant and I need to train that person. But the problem is I have nothing to train them on because I have no system. It's all up here.
Yes.
And if you hire the right assistant who's an analytical, they're going to hate their job because they're going to be trying to learn from squirrely you with no system. And then they leave.
True.
And you're like, well, I tried to hire an assistant. That didn't work.
Right.
So it's like you're just, this continuously spinning your wheels.
Yes.
And we know there are personalities of all types that are successful in this industry,
yes.
whether they're single agents or they're running big teams, right? Mm-hmm. Tom Ferry is an artist and this and that, right? He runs a successful company because he has other people that are running his systems
yes.
for him, but he has systems. So, start with choose a CRM, get your people in there, commit to living in it every day. Or
yes.
put a business plan together.
Yes.
Or put a marketing plan together, right? I mean, I am cramming this marketing plan down people's throats this year because I know we've been leaving money on the table with these past clients in Sphere.
Yes.
We know we have been, and we just went to this conference last week, and what was the first thing that the speaker talked about? How many people are in your phone? How many conversations is that per day for you to talk to them 3 times a year? Talk about back to basics.
Sure. And let's be clear that putting your systems in place could be basic.
Yes.
So I think you made a really good point about the compound effect. And this is something that I said when I taught putting your business plan in Asana at your brokerage on Monday. I said that everybody gets overwhelmed. They commit to this much work and then they expect to do it today. Like they're just absolutely overwhelmed.
Right.
And I could share the screen right now and say, this is the plan. And your eyes would pop out and you get super scared. You don't have to do it this week. So I said, here's the plan for the year. I want you to do 25% of it in the first 25% of the year.
Right.
And don't commit to the other 75% yet. So create maybe a timeline. You need to have a business plan that you can follow. Write out a simple business plan, read it every day until it makes sense to you. A subset of that is the marketing plan. Mm-hmm. Even if it's simple, write a simple marketing plan and read it every day until it makes sense to you. I've been saying once a day for 30 days. Maybe that's 5 or 10 minutes. Totally worth it to start shifting your mindset around being committed to process. Do your listing and buyer checklists. Absolutely. And then have some place to be tracking your conversations and the people that you have. That's a heck of a start. Yeah. There's so many other things that we can offer, and pitch where they could find all the checklists that we've offered in the past. All these things exist that they could download.
DominateRealEstate.net.
Okay. Dominate.
Yeah.
So checklists and processes for also the list of lists, Amy's list of lists, that's on there. But I think those 5 are a heck of a place to start, and you can do them one at a time. And if you committed, just say, I'm going to spend 30 minutes on this one today, set a timer on your phone, do it, and then move on.
And put it in your calendar, right? Sunday night, Monday morning, figure out what are you going to work on this week?
Yeah.
30 minutes a day, an hour a day, whatever. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. We're not saying whole day, half day, right? And just put, if it's not in your schedule, it doesn't exist, and just spend a little bit of time.
Yep.
I am very begrudgingly spending a little bit of time every day learning Sierra Interactive. Why? Because I cannot hold my team accountable to using it without me knowing it.
Sure.
I tried to shortcut it by hiring help to get it set up, this and that. That was not the right decision. So I'm spending my evenings watching videos. I'm spending an hour a day yesterday working on action plans. So I know how it works. Why? Because this is going to be a big, revenue maker for the company, right? Yeah. So sometimes we have to do things that we don't want to do because we see the larger outcome and the benefit in the long run of having these systems in place. So we're not having to wing it.
Well, okay, I've got the parting shot, and it's choose your hard, right? Building systems is hard.
Yeah.
Being organized is hard. Being disorganized and missing your goals and having deals blow up is hard. Choose your hard.
Right. Yeah, agreed.
Working out faithfully every single day is hard. being in poor health and having an aching body is hard. Choose your hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's good. I like that. Choose your hard. Let's leave it there. It's
Okay.
good to see you. Have a good rest of the day.
Bye, everybody.
Take care. Back over to Eyerusalem.
Thank you so much for watching. And as always, we are here to make your real estate career better.
Take care, everybody.